What's up, Philadelphia sports fans? I am Anthony Pinto,
And I am Greg Hall.
and we are War Room Philly. Thank you once again for joining me, Greg, as our special guest this week, filling in for Keith, who
It's my pleasure.
had the backotomy done.
I
And
love I love doing it. I love
yeah,
doing this. It's like we did this for 4 years before.
yeah. It's just we're like riding a bike, right?
Was it
Um,
4 years though?
it's something like that.
It was a long
We
time.
did it since, so it's been going on War Room Philly since 2011. We started, you
11.
and I.
And I
So
left at the end of 14 or
yeah,
maybe early 15. I
so
think mid 15.
it was
I think.
right after the Flyers got eliminated by, I want to say the Leafs, but I could be totally wrong.
Definitely not the
Now I
Leafs.
was gonna say I feels really wrong.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely the Leafs.
but they got eliminated by someone. It was after the Flyers season. I do remember that.
Yeah.
And it certainly wasn't a cup season. Rambunctious, what up, Nick? Yeah, so we got a lot to get into this week. But real quick, not Philly sports related at all. But how about Patrick Mahomes getting paid?
Now he almost makes what I do.
I forget who it was right now. I think it was one of his teammates that said it's really fitting that he gets a baseball contract after all, because he did have the he
Yeah,
had
he
the
got drafted.
baseball background.
Yeah.
But man, Patrick Mahomes, 10 years. He's got
I have
like
this breakdown. Actually, it's funny you bring this up.
it's
It's like
insane.
$500. It's $500 an hour. I think
That's
is what it breaks
That's
down
what
to.
I'm looking for out of my job. You know?
Uh,
And to play football on top of it, that's a good life.
yeah, here we go. Patrick Mahomes will make $450 million over the next 10 years. That's $45 million a year. That's $3,007,500 every month. That's $937,000 a week. $31,250 a day. $521 an hour. That's $8.60 per minute. Bro, if his kids want a PS5, he'll just say, "Hey, can you wait 1 hour? Just 1 hour. Daddy got you."
He gets the PS5 probably the week before, the month before.
He's probably got one. He did a little teaser for Madden 21, I think. So
Yeah, that too. Yeah, and he's got the Madden money coming in. How about
yeah,
that?
yeah. He
But
broke the Madden curse.
what do you think about what do you think about the contract in general though for football? It's kind of
Yo,
groundbreaking.
I love it. Pay Dak. Pay Dak.
Yes. Uh,
I love it.
interesting enough, that was when we posted on War Room Facebook.com/ War Room Philly, when we posted the Mahomes, just the news, because it's we stick to Philly sports, but it's so big. And you're like,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
see those numbers, and you're like, oh, that's Bryce Harper money right there. And then you're like, uh, you break, the comments start filtering in, and it's immediately you get things about Dak. You get comments like, now we understand why Wentz was signed, things like that.
Sure, sure.
So
I think it was. I think Howie was diligent and deliberate in making sure Carson signed his big deal before Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, other quarterbacks were able to set the market because Goff set that. I think Goff signed before Wentz. Maybe it was after, actually. I think it was after. So I don't even know it. So it wasn't like he had something to compete against because, he was on his way to be an MVP in 2017. He could have been the Super Bowl winner, da. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. I understand that hindsight 2020 and being what it is. But at the same time, he doesn't have we don't have to worry about that for 4 years or until Jalen Hurts becomes good in some people's eyes.
we might worry about that week too, with some
I don't want to think
ways.
about it.
Greg,
I'm a Wentz man.
it was something that I even remember preaching when you and I did the show, even in 2011. The backup goalie, the backup quarterback, they're always the most popular player in town. Now, Carter Hart is he's got all of our hearts. And in fact, when you talk about 10-year contracts, Carter Hart could be in line to get not a 10-year, But maybe when you think of current Philadelphia athletes, you got Carter Hart, JT Realmuto, who did you see the clip today, Greg, where Realmuto hit the home
A
run
bomb and just walked off at first base.
and
Harper yelled, "Sign him!"
Yes, I kind of look. I love that out of players, and I know like most people probably hate it, but like when a player, especially like a prominent free agent comes, like it's like almost the LeBron syndrome where they come over and almost have like a low key GM role. I don't really mind that when it's a guy like Harper or a guy like LeBron, like these guys they want to win. And obviously I don't want them to take over everything, but
Bryce was a little overt when he was like, I'm gonna make sure I do everything I can to get people here and want to play in Philly, like that guy in LA, and then 2 weeks later Trout signs a deal for $430 million. So it's like, whoops.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't have done that.
But
now,
but it was good fun for a couple weeks.
It was definitely good fun, and lobbying for JT and lobbying for Chris Bryant to get traded here, and all these other things. Like, he has yet to come through on that. But at the same time, the Phillies went out and put $120 million into Zach Wheeler and signed Didi Gregorius. So it's not like they just rolled over. I think they actually had a better offseason. They've got credit for. And it's what I love about the Flyers and Phillies specifically is it's like the 2017 Eagles team where there are just so many guys to root for. Like you said, Carter Hart is kind of like the face of that team, but you also have Travis Konechny, who's going to get paid eventually, but he's quietly becoming the best player on the team. And you have Kevin Hayes.
That's like my boy. That's my boy is TK. That's
like
it
used to be Simmer. It used to be Wayne Simmons. He's gone. Let's move on. And TK is the new guy we strap our rockets to. But like, you have multiple guys. Like, there's literally a guy on every line that you're like, yes, he's on the ice. I want to watch this team. And you have that same feeling with the Phillies, because I'm still a Rhys Hoskins guy, especially when he came out looking like Schmitty. That won me right back over. But I'm still a Hoskins believer. And then JT, who just goes about his business, the Chase Utley kind of guy. He's just a quietly fantastic player who you want to see here for as long as possible. And then Bryce, just being Bryce. And like, I really like that. Now, what I don't like is when the Philadelphia Inquirer writes an article saying that Zach Wheeler, if he chooses to not show up because his wife's pregnant and he wants to be safe for his family, that he's abandoning his team. The Inquirer can go F itself. And you wonder why that type of journalism is dying and things like this, Twitch streams and podcasts are taking over. But I digress. There's just a lot of people that you can love on this team. And I felt like I would have said that about the Eagles too. But then Malcolm leaves. And yeah, I'm so pumped to watch Slay. And I love Jalen Reagor as a draft pick. And Quez Watkins just signed today. And like, there's people to love, but I don't feel that 2017 camaraderie like I did back then when you had like LeGarrette and all those guys just kind of bringing it together. But I'm sure that'll change. There's just like Will Parks. I haven't seen much of him from Denver, and the kid they brought in from Pittsburgh, the lineman Jalen something. I can't remember his name, but like, who are these guys yet? And because we haven't had off-season workouts, and it's just going to be a weird off-season, we don't have that time to gel with them yet. So I think that those feelings will come. But it is kind of great to be a Philly fan right now. Like, I'm loving the personalities in this city. It's great.
Yeah. Now, real quick, do you think the Eagles made the wrong move? Should they have kept Jenkins and gotten McLeod, or got rid of McLeod?
I like McLeod, and I like McLeod for McLeod's price tag.
I think we talked about this during the draft, but then when you said, Malcolm left, and I thought maybe I'd won you over.
I love Malcolm. Malcolm is my favorite defensive back since Brian Dawkins.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way.
And he didn't sign for what we thought he was going to with the Saints. And then when he does that stuff with the whole unfortunate Drew Brees controversy, like, that got me right back loving him for him standing up for what he believes in. That was awesome to see. But it's like, shit, he ain't doing that in our city anymore. He's doing it from Philadelphia.
He was doing it in Philadelphia. Like, it's weird because it's like, hey, he's holding it down for our city, and he's like, oh crap, he's gonna play for the Saints this year, and it's again, he's gonna be a Philadelphian forever. So that's that's great. But yeah, it's gonna sting a little bit. Although I guess at least it was the Saints. It's like, he kind of went back to like his, I don't want to put it to like the girlfriend thing, but he went back to his old team, his old home. I feel like that's like a lazy sports thing. Oh, he went back to he went to the X. But it's real quick, I see you out there in chat, Alex, and yeah, Nick says didn't think the Phillies did enough for pitching, which specifically
I
bullpen. I guess he says
disagree.
bullpen is and I would have liked to seen a little, like I would have liked to seen one more starter.
Who? Give me a bullpen name.
Yeah, I don't have them. I'm not in the war room. I'm just doing war room Philly right now.
I think it's fine when people have those opinions, but like the Phillies brought in Francisco Liriano, they brought in Bud Norris, they brought in Anthony Swarzak, they brought in oh my goodness, Drew Storen. Like none of those guys are shutdown closer relievers, right? But that's not name somebody who is out there. The only swing and miss I really think the Phillies had from a bullpen perspective this season was Dylan Betances, and he went to the Mets, which kind of doubly hurts. So that's like the only swing and a miss I think they had. But he also signed for a little bit more than I think that they were willing to pay for a bullpen at that time. And I really do think they want to trust their kids. And again, if I don't want to say like if you know baseball and if you're a Phillies guy, you'd know. But I love minor league baseball. It's arguably my second favorite thing besides Major League Baseball. And I've watched these kids, and I think that they have something not special, but fun. They can't just go out and spend. You have to home grow people. You need young, or at least cheap, reliable arms, and they have that right now in the bullpen. I think like a Rosso, a Seabold, a Damon Jones, who I love Damon Jones, but I think like those guys. I think Garrett Clevenger. Like I think there are low key guys that are good additions to this bullpen. It sucks that Sir Anthony's not there. I love Liriano from the left side. I don't love it as much now because you have to face three hitters. And you can't just use them in a lefty specialist role.
These rules that baseball is doing this year, like this one, I feel like I just learned about this today. And just for sake of a good story, let's say I did.
Yeah.
But the whole three, like you're kind of like, I know you're adding a layer of strategy too, but like what is like safety wise? How is that helping the game? You know what I mean? It's like.
They're not. It's like decreasing. That's really for a pace of play, though.
That's what I'm saying. Is this like?
It's for pace of play.
Is this because they're just like, we're just gonna like fidget with some things just because this is a?
It's limiting huddles of people together, because the manager and the pitching coach and the infielders and stuff can't huddle up on the mound as often, and you're also increasing the pace of play. It's a 2-for-1, and in chat it looks like Betances was $10 million over 1 year. I thought it was 9. It's somewhere in there, that 9 to 10 range. And guess what? That puts them over the luxury tax. And they don't want to be there.
But that's fine. I want them to be there. Hey, look. This is one thing. When I
not
said
with JT still free agent.
When I said you signed Bryce Harper, one of the first things I said like analytically was avoiding the luxury tax is no longer an option. You're gonna have to go over it. It's sooner rather than later, you know what I mean? Maybe but tickets are always going to go. Tickets are always going to go up.
There won't be any tickets to be sold.
I know, but look, this is what I'm saying. So in 2 years, they're going to go, like the tickets have to go up because of this X, Y, Z. And now we can at least see it. They were going to go up anyway, so you might as well at least put us over to luxury cap. Let me get my money's worth. Because, look, in 2 years, tickets are still going to be more expensive. Regardless of COVID, in 4 years, tickets are going to be more expensive. It's just the way it is with sports.
It's just that the Phillies, it's almost like they knew that this was coming because they spent smart. They didn't go over the luxury tax. There will be teams out there selling off high-priced players strictly to get under the luxury tax or to not have to spend as much money because of COVID and how much money they're not, I'm not saying losing, but that they're not making this year. They will never lose money. You wouldn't be an MLB owner if you were ever to lose money. Yeah. But like, you think about these small budget teams, the Rays, they won 96 games last year or something like that. They're stocked with talent. You have the A's who are talented. The Cleveland Indians still have Francisco Lindor, one of the best players in baseball, that they don't know what they can do with him, and they have to pay him next year or the year after that. Then you have Mookie Betts is going to be a free agent, and JT Realmuto is going to be a free agent.
No,
so
he's not. No,
all these high-ticket free agents, these teams are either going to put all their money into that one pocket and make the one big splash, or they're going to go after those low-priced veterans who are looking for the minimum contract because 2020 screwed everyone. And I think the Phillies kind of saw that. I don't think Matt Klentak predicted COVID-19.
No, Brett Brown caused it, though.
But I think that they at least
later.
put themselves in a better financial position than we're giving them credit for the future of the ball club, because they still have. I personally think they're going to sign Didi Gregorius to another 1 or 2 year contract this offseason, because he signed a 1 year prove it and only gets 60 games to prove it in a slow free agent market that's going to be next season. He loves Girardi. He's going to be back. JT's going to be back. And that's now, God knows, JT's making $10 million this year before proration. He's going to make over 20. That's $10 million you have to equate for. Where's that coming from? Jake Arrieta's contract. Bye-bye. That's 25. Now you have 15 left to spend. Like, it's all lining itself up for this team to improve themselves, but they need young, controllable talent. That's why Spencer Howard, Damon Jones, Connor Seabold, even Cole Irvin they're really important pieces. And I didn't want to just go spend 3 years and $40 million or whatever the hell it was that the Braves did on Will Smith.
Not that Will Smith.
Yeah, no, not that Will Smith. Like, they went out and the Braves, they made these high ticket bullpen additions and Cole Hamels, which still stings. And all, but they kind of screwed themselves because relievers aren't worth that big money. They're just not. You have a great season and then you dip. Look at Billy Wagner, even Brad Lidge after the 08 season.
I mean, the Papelbon season.
Jonathan Papelbon.
That worked out.
He's a mental. He's a walking mental hospital.
I feel like that was one of our. We went like a little back and forth on that because I was very pro Papelbon.
I love him.
And
so am I.
Not,
I just think he's a horrible person.
But correct me if I'm wrong. I felt like you kind of like you were just saying like you liked the player, but if I don't think you liked the deal
contract.
Yeah. No. And I was like, oh no, he's worth it.
No reliever is worth double digits.
Best reliever in Phillies history. Most saves.
Yeah, most saves. No reliever is worth more than $10 million in my opinion, unless you are Mariano Rivera, Trevor Hoffman, Josh Hader, like
Brad Lidge,
because they're so up and down. You just can't predict. Even like Eric Gagne and the Giants reliever I can't think of right now, Brian Wilson, I think. Mm-hmm. Like, these guys got paydays and then fell off the face of the earth.
Brian
and guess
Wilson.
what? In baseball, you're stuck with the contract.
I hated him.
Put your money into the rotation, not into the bullpen. The bullpen can be pieced together.
I think and put it into the lineup too. Like, that's, to go back.
I love this lineup.
Go back to the 08. And not specifically this. I think really if we look at it, like, the one thing this team is like missing, and we'll see, is like a bona fide center fielder. I like Hazley. Yep. I like Kingery, but not in center field. It's just, that's like the one thing. Because again, I don't want to put McCutcheon out there just for his own.
Nope.
Like, yeah, he can play it. I don't doubt that. And he played it well last year, too. Let's not forget. But he also had a major injury.
Let's hope that Mickey Moniak pans out. I mean, that's the plan. The plan was to draft him number 1 overall for him to be the center fielder of the future.
Yeah. I think I think him, like, he still needs to put on, like, 2 times more of his body. I could give him some. Easily. But yeah, the whole Moniak thing,
it's just another example of why the Nationals and the Braves and coming up like the Blue Jays and the Rays are smart, amazingly run baseball teams, because they have this influx of young talent, and that's the cheap, controllable players. Even the White Sox coming up too, like, it's the cheap, controllable player that lets you go spend $18 million on Cole Hamels for 1 season and take those type of risks, because you have Acuna, Albies, and Freddie Freeman, who is also a homegrown player. You have a lot of homegrown talent. Mike Soroka, like, tons of talent there. And it's like, even Vlad Jr. and Acuna and Juan Soto, they weren't draft picks. They were international signings, meaning any team could have signed them. When Vlad Jr. signed for pennies on the dollar. The Phillies gave $4 million to some jamoke we don't even remember. He hit like one homer in the minors. He's actually had a good spring this year. I can't remember his name right now. But like, we could have had Vlad. We could have had Albie. So right there, it's a scouting thing. And when the Phillies brought in Brian Barber, the director of scouting, formerly with the Yankees, oh, by the way, Aaron Judge, and I can go on and on and on and on and on about the young players that they've brought up. That's a huge win because that takes our entire focus and puts it into our farm system, into our international scouting department. And that's how you build a winning franchise. You don't just go out and spend. You spend smartly on what you have, but you bring up talent. And if that takes 2 to 3 more years for the Phillies to do, that's possible. But at the same time, Harper's he's wasting his age 27 season. Real Muto is potential free agent. We've gone over it a million times. The clock is ticking. They screwed up the rebuild. They went too soon. But you can't really control when Harper's a free agent. So they had to strike when the iron was hot. So I get that.
And Alex from chat saying, is that a picture of Mario riding the Fanatic in the background? Which I believe
as Yoshi.
I think we were talking about that last week too, actually.
Yeah.
And you know what? I didn't realize. I didn't realize that, and I also didn't realize that the pinstripes.
Yeah.
So
on Mario.
Yeah, double.
Yeah,
double
actually, our buddy Sam got me this as a housewarming gift when I moved.
Nice. Yeah. So he says, I can't. Well, he says bleep. Yeah. He says. I was gonna say. He says it with a ph. I was like, I'll save the f bombs for when I'm in an emotional moment. But yeah. Again, this is like getting back to the homegrown. That's like even like the novice Phillies fans can go back and be like, this team's scouting department has failed them, and that's why the Harper contract. That's why you had to kind of overspend, and think about our like perception of how the Yankees win and how they're doing it now. It's totally different.
It's totally now. They have Stanton, and they've gone out. They've spent, they just spent $300 million on Garrett Cole. So it's not like they're not still big spenders, but the majority of their talent is homegrown. Yeah. Outside of like DJ LeMahieu, blah blah blah. But you have Andujar, you have Aaron Judge, you have Hicks, you have the Ian Frazier. I can't remember his name. You have Tanaka was an international signing, but again, an international signing where anybody could have had him. So I mean, like the team, it's like a mix. They do just a really good job of. Listen, they lose Judge for half a season. They lose Stanton for half a season. They still win 96 games. That's because of the depth in the farm system. Yeah. It ain't because they went out and spent a bunch of money.
Yeah, and in today's MLB, that's what every good team's gonna have to do. You're gonna you're gonna miss on a contract here and there, and that's where maybe you overspend. But as far as like every good team has that farm system and has youth, just because especially
Astros,
with
right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially with baseball, it's the controllability and to get the players on the cheap while you can, and then you kind of have to overpay for them, because of it. But it's key, and that's, like I said, just to reiterate, that's something that this team has missed on drastically over
Houston,
the last 10
outside
years.
of the trash can thing. Look at Houston. George Springer, Alex Bregman, Correa, Altuve, all homegrown talents.
Boston,
the DH last year that hit like crazy. I can't remember his name. Came up as a rookie and tore the cover off the ball. Left it. Jordan Alvarez, I think his name was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Jordan Alvarez, I think is his name. But like hit like crazy. And then they go out and like Dallas Keuchel, he came up, right? So like then they go out, they trade for Garrett Cole, they trade for Zach Greinke, and guess what? They don't win it all. So like it's crazy. In 2008, think about 2008. The Brewers went out and get CC Sabathia, who pitched every like second day for them, went 11-2 down the stretch, dominated. Their big ticket. We got Joe Blanton. One of them hit a home run in the World Series, and one of them gave up a grand slam to Shane Victorino. You figure out which one's which, but it's not always that big ticket free agent. Matt Stairs, dude. It's not always the biggest acquisition at the trade deadline or the big free agent side. It's the smart ones. That's what Pat Gillick was great at. That's what I don't trust Matt Klentak with. However, I give him a lot of credit for the Corey Dickerson trade last year. I think that was a brilliant trade. It sucks that we didn't hang on to him. I really liked
too.
him.
Bruce was really
Jay
good.
Bruce was a great trade, and that he's going to DH a ton this year.
Yeah.
So, like, I give him some credit for those moves because he literally landed us a DH, and I actually am really, really happy with that. And 2 other teams are paying him, so like, I'm happy with that. But it's like I don't trust his pitching moves. That's the one thing. Like, with the trade deadlines, man, I'm worried about that. But I think this Phillies team is. I have them at 34 wins. That's if everybody stays healthy, which they're not, and that's also everybody stays healthy in the league, which they're not. So if all things were even, I have them at 34 wins. They'll probably end up somewhere in that 31 to 33 range, depending on who is healthy and who is not. Or they could win 40. It's so crazy. We just don't know. But I would say 34 and 26.
What do you think wins the division this year? Because then it's going to be a tight race, or at least we'd imagine. Like what gets
Atlanta?
What gets the Phillies? Like, how many wins do they got to get into the playoffs?
I think the 34 would get them in.
Yeah.
You look at if everybody's in the same boat that the Phillies are in, that means that the teams in the NL Central, the Cubs, the Cardinals, the Brewers, they have to play the AL Central a little bit, and that's the Twins, the Indians, the new look White Sox. But then you have like the Royals and Tigers. So there's always those teams you can kind of beat up on. So I think that the Cardinals probably win that division, but that's going to be a race for the Cubs and the Brewers. So there's 2 more teams added into the wild card mix. You have out west with the Dodgers, they're the runaways. The Padres, the only other team that can compete in that division, but they're playing the AL West, which is the Rangers, who are, they're kind of rebuilding. The Angels are just okay. You have the A's, you have the Astros, and I can't remember the last team right now in the AL West. The Mariners, I think. So, and they stink. So, like, the Padres have a good shot at winning the wild card. That leaves the Phillies, who get the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Rays, the Nationals, the Braves, and oh, by the way, the Marlins beat them last year in the season series. So, not the easiest schedule, but I would think that 34 to 35 wins gets you in the playoffs this season, and I think the Phillies are capable of winning the second wild card. That's the highest I'd put them, is at the second wild card.
And it's when we just got the schedule released a couple days ago, and can I just give you a dunce moment from myself?
Go for it.
So, like, it's just reactionary. Every time the Phillies schedule comes out, and you can probably relate to this because our birthdays are sandwiched on top of each other. Who are they playing on my birthday?
Yeah.
And I opened up the schedule and it said July, and I was like, oh yeah, there's a pandemic. There's no
the
birthday
D-backs.
game.
Good call, Rambunctious.
There's no birthday game this year.
It was supposed to be the Cardinals.
Yeah.
If that's supposed to help.
And it was just one of those things. But yeah, we go like right into interleague play, which is that's summer I'm looking at, right? No,
we open with the Marlins.
We go Marlins and then Yankees. So
4 with the Yankees, 2 at home, 2 at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, and it's gonna I think that part of the things are gonna be a little interesting. Now, interleague is gonna kind of like, I don't know, for lack of a better term, lose some flair because the DH is universal. But those games will be really your only like unmeaningful games, if you will, because everything else is going to be interdivision, and so those games,
I don't think there's an unmeaningful game.
Yeah, that's why I even put it in air quotes, and it's like because even still, like you're saying, no unmeaningful games, but just to put how much emphasis is going to be on winning the division games. Because they're going to be 2-for-1s in the standings.
We don't play the Braves in September.
Yeah. So.
And that's the team that's going to win the division. So we have to make our moves on them early, and we kind of have to hang on. Now, granted, past 60 games last season, the Phillies were in first place in the division. The Phillies were also in first place in the division 2 years ago going into September, and Cap blew it. So
we should have kept Cap.
The last 2, well, if there was, no, because there is a September. No. So if the season ended August 31. But like, there is precedent to say that this Phillies team can do it, because the last 2 seasons they were in a position to do it, and they blew it late down the stretch to the point where they were 1 under and then 500. So like to the point where they couldn't even get a winning season. That's how bad it was. But once McCutchen went down, this team went down, and McCutcheon's going to be healthy. There's a lot of reason to think that even with Zach Wheeler now in your number 2 spot, again, he's more of a 3 to me, but it is what it is. This team is going to be better. I hope he does play. If he doesn't and he opts out, fine. I'm not going to hate on that.
Yeah.
I have no problem with any player making any decision they want this year, but as long as it's JT signing here. But like, there will be other players that get. Freddie Freeman just tested positive, and he said it was kicking his ass. Now does he then say, maybe I'm going to reevaluate the 2020 season? Who's going to catch this virus? Like, the Braves in August may be different than the Braves in July. So who knows? And it's one of those things where, listen, I can't wait to watch 60 games and be glued to the edge of my seat for 60 games. This is, think about it. If you just never, if you came down from Mars and you're an alien and it's, August 1st and you turn on the TV and there's baseball and somebody has to explain to you what baseball is, but only have 60 games to do it. You'd be
Mr.
like,
Clip
well,
let me explain.
I'm in. Every single inning matters. I'm looking forward to it. I am one of the people that is pro 2020 champion. Like, I will look at this as a legitimate champion. I will look at this as a legitimate World Series. And I know that, a lot of things are going to happen that are going to surprise a lot of people this season, but that just makes it all the more fun for me because now I don't have to watch the same 7 teams, 30 teams competing, at least until the end of August, is fun. And then guess what? Half the league is still going to be in it in halfway through September. We're in for some fun baseball.
Yeah. I think just in general, if and when we can get all 4 sports rolling, like at the same time, you're gonna have playoff basketball. If all 5, yeah, absolutely. You're gonna have
the first one comes back tomorrow.
Yeah, we get them tomorrow, and it's bright and early too. And
9 o'clock.
I
baby.
love that. Like, there is nothing more that I've been craving is just like that daytime baseball game to get me through the workday, especially now when it's like 100 degrees in the afternoon. All I dream about is and then even go one step further, because I've even been saying, and this is just something I've been bitching about to Keith, just because he's the only one whose ear has, but all year I've been saying we need more 1 o'clock hockey, like just afternoon, daytime hockey. Give me
the Flyers used to suck at 1 o'clock puck drop. They've been better.
Yeah, but like, and I actually think it came off of the Black Friday matinee game. Like, we always get it.
Always have.
And it made my workday like that much better. And it's like to have like I want a little bit more daytime sports, and I think it's also like a big reason why I really like esports too. Although they've been like they're slowly getting back to it, but esports for a while was doing like the Thursday to Sunday thing at night, and it's like, you guys are competing against real sports and you're forgetting that like not all of your fan base is nerds, or like we're also nerds for other things too. But
you and I are the example of like nerds and sports nerds coming together and the best of both worlds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's National Video Game Day too, and we already had like a little Twitch Twitter conversation. But yeah, those days where we speed ran, we didn't know we were speed running. We were speed running Halo.
I'll be playing The Last of Us Part 2 when we get done this.
Yeah. Have you been? It's been getting like a lot of mixed reviews. How you been digging it?
It's not as engrossing and as engaging as the first game. It's more of a video game. It's less of like, when I played the first one, I felt like I was in it and I was gripped. And now I'm just feeling like I'm playing a video game. Oh, this doesn't work. We have to find a way in. Oh, this is off. Let's go find the plug. It's a lot of like the fetch questy stuff, but still a beautiful world, still incredible. And I'm only about 7 hours in, so I am still loving it. But the first game, I think, is just, it's untouchable. Real quick, can I go on a quick?
Golf. Yeah. I just realized I haven't like been tuning into the golf, and I got to get in on that. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
I just want to go on a quick rant about baseball missing the mark. Like, I said this on Twitter. Not like anybody listens to it or cares or reads it, but
at Greg Talks a Lot.
Thank you. But baseball on opening day, July 23rd, they schedule 2 games. Okay, fine. You want to ease us back in? Great. One of them's Yankees, Rays. I can't remember. One of them's the Yankees game, maybe Yankees Nationals, I think, which is awesome. The other one, Giants Dodgers. Okay, longtime rivalry. Dodgers on national television. Love it. They're the only sport that's going to be back besides MLS of the majors. You have golf and stuff like that, but this is a Wednesday night, so it's not like it's going to be crazy. And what do they do? Or maybe it's a Thursday. It's a Thursday, I think. What do? They have the whole day to themselves, and they go 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock.
Is that so atypical of what is wrong with baseball today?
What is baseball doing? You lost your entire East Coast audience, or a huge majority. There's a reason why Mike Trout isn't the face of baseball. It's because no one on the East Coast stays up to watch him play. You're gonna tell me that you couldn't do 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock, or you couldn't do 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, Rock, 9, 10. You're telling me
it's
what
like
are you doing?
It's just so, like, I know everyone wants to, like, change rules, and now you see when you don't like the rule changes, right? Like, oh yeah, this is what happens when you start toying with the rules. Is now you get a invisible man on second, and now but.
It'll be a very visible man.
I know, but like, this is what baseball needs to be doing more, is just force feeding us content. Like you were saying, one is too late. It's give me a game at 11:30. Give me a game at 1:30. I mean, like,
the President's Day games in Boston were great. They started at 11 a.m.
Yeah, like it works. Like, the more obscure times that you put baseball on, the more people are gonna watch. Especially with streaming, especially with with radio. Like, maybe we're not watching, but we're listening. Like, baseball.
4 o'clock. Even if you went 4 and 7, even if you kept the Yankees Nationals, because it's East Coast, people are going back to work now. So like they get home, they watch it. All 7 Nationals fans, they can get home and watch the game. Like I understand if you want to keep that game at 7. So then throw the Dodgers Giants at 4. That's 1 o'clock West Coast time. Like, that's an easy thing to do. And now you're at 4 and 7, which now you have, just like the playoffs. They throw playoff games on a Wednesday afternoon at 1 o'clock. Why couldn't you do that with opening day? Opening day is always 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And guess what? People always find a way to pack the stadiums. People always find a way for it to be the most watched game of the season. So, like, what are you thinking on a national stage? You're going to start a baseball game. What are you going to do for the first X amount of hours until 7 o'clock at night? You're just going to show LeBron E60 reruns all day and talk about Tim Tebow? Like, I'm so over what baseball thinks and what, like, I want to watch Mookie Betts in his Dodgers debut, and I'll stay up till 10 o'clock because I'm stupid. But, like, not a lot of people are.
Yeah.
And it's a miss. It's a miss.
Yeah, and again, especially when, like, I'm not going to look at it this way, but baseball is certainly going to be looking at it this way. They're going to be competing against all the other sports. And that's
MLS being number 1.
That's their shot to start, like, that's the, you're throwing the line into the water there, and you don't even have fresh bait.
They already swung and missed for taking this long to agree to something. Yeah. Now, I don't think they'd have been back by now, because I was okay with the August 1 kind of thing for everybody. I still don't know if that's even going to happen, or if I even think that that's cool. But, like, even if they made a decision back in March or came to an agreement in April or May and didn't drag this out till June and make them all look stupid, then after everybody's like, oh my God, finally they're back, they're going to be the first of the 4. Soccer will be back tomorrow, or today. But, like, they'll be the first of the major 4 back. They'll have the spotlight all to themselves. But then a week later, hockey rolls out a plan that says, we're back August 3rd. And basketball is like, we're back too. And so it's like, you had a chance to be the biggest draw to get everybody that you lost back. And you're going to do it at 10 o'clock at night with the best team in baseball, or at least in the National League with the Dodgers. Your biggest draw outside of the Yankees and Red Sox is the Dodgers, and you're blowing it by throwing it on at 10 o'clock. Why? So people on the West Coast who come to the game in the 2nd and leave by the 6th can watch it? Like, the East Coast is what makes your money, dude. Yeah. The ESPN's in the East Coast for a reason. Like, they're located in Connecticut for a reason, because the East Coast is where sports live and breathe.
Specifically the Northeast, too. Yeah,
specifically the Northeast.
Yeah.
And it's a miss. I know I've said it a million times. I'm just really frustrated. Not even for me, because I'll stay up and watch it, but for the other people that really, truly miss baseball like I do, that have a job, that work overnight, that have a family, that just quite frankly don't want to stay up till 1 o'clock watching baseball. I get that. I totally do. What are you thinking? I want to say Bud Selig, but it's Rob Manfred. What are you doing?
Yeah. It's and from New Poner in chat says
Nice.
they can only learn from their mistakes. Fans of the sports will come back after the MLB learns everyone sleeps at some point. Um, yeah,
They won't ever learn that.
yeah. It's like I think again this is I think why people focus on the long the length of the game. Well, it's because the games are starting too late. Like
So
especially
much.
the West Coast games.
You
Or even the East Coast games that are on ESPN start at 8 o'clock, and that's insane.
I can't stand that either. Football, right? It's 9 o'clock on the London games. It's 1 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock, and it's 8:30, which I still think is mega late for the national games because I'm out at halftime. But when football's starting, it's a time old tradition. It doesn't change. It's there for you. Baseball is there for you every single night, 7:05. Like I could do that, but football, since it's only once a week, you look forward to that 1 to 4. You cancel plans. You go back to back. Baseball, admittedly, is a tough sport to watch two in a row of because there's no time limit. You have no idea what could happen. And a game could be over in 2 hours, and then game two could be 4 hours. You just don't know.
Mhm.
And so I get it. That's a little difficult to sometimes stick around for. But I get it if you don't want to stay up late, man. But the 1 and 4 would have been perfect, even if it's 4 and 7. Like the Phillies, they start at 7:05, which is fine. It's fine. I'm fine with that. But and they only play teams in their time zone. So again, we'll never see one of those late starts this season, which is fine.
That's gonna be another thing I missed too, though, because I loved the West Coast trips, and again, everything's different this year, so I'm not complaining by any means. I don't want to come off as that, but for a while, as much as we're talking about the how the late starts are brutal, I also do like them sometimes, where I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna stay now.
Yeah.
Every year it gets a little harder. You
Yep.
know what I mean? You know what I mean? When I was in college and just stimulants for days, I love those late night games. But nowadays,
now I have a 1-year-old who could wake up at any second, and I have to prepare myself for that. And
sleep is precious, right?
up on my sleep. I'm actually legitimately interested in what hockey's going to do, and I'm ready to rip a what and there where if they blow this because they chose Toronto and Edmonton, which I totally agree with. Go Canada for the bubble for the hub cities. That's the way I'd have gone 100%, especially because they're containing their outbreak a lot better. But Edmonton's on the West Coast. That's a late time frame. I hope that the playoff games aren't 7 and 10. You're going to again lose out. For me, right? It's got to be when hockey playoffs are on. It's 1-4-7-10. You give us 4 games back to back. Do not overlap times. You can't do that in this day and age when there's so many sports on. There's enough networks to carry it where you can't have 2 games on at 7 and have the competition for which game's getting watched, because at some point someone's going to say, F it, I'm going to go watch a baseball game instead. And because baseball with a 6-game season, every game's important. They're all going to be right around this incredibly important time in their season. The viewer's money is valuable. The viewer's time is valuable. Not everybody has the means that they can watch. I can watch one on my iPad, one on my phone, one on my computer, and one on my TV if I wanted to. But I'm
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's how they're going to be for sports.
And that's it. But not everybody has those means.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
absolutely. And it's going to be now. Here's the one thing: can hockey benefit from a 10 o'clock playoff start? Then keeping all that in mind, what
do you think? What do you think would draw more? I'll ask you. The Dodgers, Angels, your Trout and Betts, 10 o'clock on a Wednesday, or Predators and Golden Knights in the second round of the playoffs? What do you think draws more?
Especially because when you consider one is probably on CNBC and the
let's
others,
call it 8:48. Let's call it NBC Sports, and ESPN. Let's call it 2 major networks.
I was gonna say then look, me and I'm a baseball first guy. I'm gonna tune into playoff hockey, But
The casual though. What about the casual?
But that's why I prefaced it with me.
Yeah.
I do
You have a
think
chance.
I think casual people will probably still go baseball over playoff hockey.
Trout and Betts versus they didn't even know Vegas had a team, and where's Nashville on a map?
Yeah,
Like
true.
that, not a lot of people know who, Pecorine is and all these great, like, they're two of the best teams in hockey and they're amazing to watch, and I'll pick the hockey game, but I'm just not sure everyone will. So I'm very, very, very interested to see how all these sports are going to collide into each other from a television perspective. I'm very lucky that I get to watch. I will never miss a game no matter what, because I'm kind of surrounded by it. And we're lucky in that sense, but I don't want to do it till 1 a.m. I just don't. I'm 32 years old going on 80. I'm not just like in a place mentally or physically to stay up till 1 a.m. anymore.
Yeah,
watching sport.
Like I said, that used to be like my settling down time. Even just maybe 2-3 years ago. But yeah, as soon as you get that, like, and it's you're working 40 hours a week and
minimum.
I'm no longer working nights too. That kept my sleep. I can talk. Do a podcast, by the way. My sleep schedule is a lot more normal now that I don't work for Live Nation. But and nor could I in today's day and age. But yeah, that's like, again, that part of me, I used to love it, and hopefully the youngins, they still get into all that. But yeah, it is for the casual and for who these sports are going to be targeting. Yeah, it'll be interesting, and it'll be tough to see. But
we always have to remember,
to
and I have this conversation with Sam all the time in our podcast, all the time. I want to just bang into everybody's head that the casual fan is a bigger percentage than the diehard.
Yeah.
In every medium. That's in nerdy, that's in superhero movies, that's in television ratings, that's in sports. It's everything. So everything these companies do is not targeted towards the diehard. It's targeted toward the casual. And how are we going to draw those fans to become diehards so they can tell two friends and they can tell two friends?
Just watch any of the CW shows and it's not catered to the diehards.
Right. So except for Stargirl, that show kicks ass. But that's a DC Universe original.
I got far away from the CW shows.
It's just like, please remember that companies don't make things specifically for their hardcore fans. They make them to draw in more hardcore fans, and they want the gen pop, like a Pokemon game, right? If you have a Twitter, you type in Pokemon Sword and Shield, just crap after crap after crap after crap gets posted about it, and everybody hates it. It sold 17 million copies. It's the third most selling Pokemon game ever. But because of the casual Switch owner, like, it's not because they're. I don't want to go too far into a rant, man. But you just got to remember that these are casual fans, and you throw up Mike Trout and Mookie Betts on a television screen, and you throw up a Golden Knights logo and a Columbus Blue Jackets logo, Stanley Cup final. They're probably going to want to go watch the baseball.
And then we got it in chat from Nick, who, and look, Nick watches us, so I'm going to say Nick is even more above casual. Like, if sports fans are willing to watch me talk about sports.
Is that an Avengers jersey? Is that a thing?
So this is a Team Liquid, like, Avengers Marvel thing. It's a little bit of both.
What's the horse?
That's the Team Liquid jersey, or their
logo.
They're like an esports org. They're actually,
no, I know Team Liquid.
They're actually
I know
like my chair too. And it's like my prize. This is called Stim Check. This is. But yeah, my Secret Labs chair. I got the Team Liquid skin because yeah, why not?
Oh, you have a Team Labs chair. They're not cheap.
Oh yeah, that's like I said. This was a
Stim check. Got it.
Yeah. This is $400.
I'm in my dining room table chair right there. Wooden.
Yeah.
Oak. I think pine.
But yeah, they're also weird. I didn't mean for it, but I also just saw, like, right before I went on, that they're doing more of these drops, and I'm like, oh great, more money I have to spend on esports / nerd gear. Wonderful. Way to put two of my favorite things together so that I have to spend $80 at a pop.
This is my early November t-shirt circa 2003.
Oh man.
So Good for me.
Props to you for fitting in it, because any of my shirts from
My camera stops here, brother, for a reason.
Is that like a Zeke shirt?
You can see like it ain't going well once the camera stops. Right around this region here.
But yeah, so Nick says he goes trout bets. He says I'm watching trout bets and I'm flipping back to see hockey, like to see the score.
Yep.
So and again, that's a good read on just on things. Again, me and baseball is my favorite sport. I gotta watch playoffs over even though it's an enhanced.
Football's not your favorite sport.
Well, so
I'm
like,
so surprised.
Again, like Eagles are like I probably root for the Eagles the hardest, but don't we?
Couldn't tell by your background.
Yeah, don't we kind of all do that in Philly? You know what I mean? So it's like it's just like kind of it's the easiest. But baseball is just like it's what I played growing up. It's what I feel I know the most, like digging in X and O's. Yeah, absolutely. It's
I miss
just
playing on that team.
Yeah, I've even just talked like next summer I want to do like even softball or something. Like I wanted to do it this year. Obviously everything's circumstances right now. But yeah, next year or maybe if I guess we don't really see it for this fall, but I want to get into just in general. I want to get into like a softball or some sort of like relaxed league, because the last I played when I was like it's probably only like 5 years ago. I was still in a men's league that was like 18 to 40, but some of these dudes were bringing it. Like,
what are you 31?
Yeah. Some
Congratulations, you made it.
Some of these dudes were bringing it, and like not only with the heat, but like I can't read a curveball. Are you kidding me? That was
in a softball too. That's not.
No, this was hard. This was fast pitch.
Oh, okay.
This was fast pitch, and that's why I'm like I still got it a little bit, and I got the competitive juices, but I don't need to like be made look an ass when someone throws a curveball and I flop to the ground and it's a strike 3. Yeah,
you got to get into those men league softball games with that wicked 6-foot arc.
That's what I want. That's what I want. Pitches, where I can pound one or two. My limit on beers.
If I could ask you a question about baseball, the Phillies specifically.
Let's go.
I've said it. I said it on last week's show, and I've said it on Twitter a billion times. Again, at Greg Talks a lot. If you want my horrible sports opinions, what happens with Pivetta and Velasquez, and where does Alec Boehm fit into the picture?
Pivetta is interesting because if you remember,
I would still love him.
If you remember, so I was kind of out on Pivetta, but correct me if I'm wrong. He had like a kind of a resurgence coming through the bullpen around the last year.
He was very good after a shaky start. He really got himself figured out in the bullpen.
And I'm interested to see, because like everyone wants to put Velasquez in that role, but I'm not really about, like I think we've even seen him come out of that role, and I'm not really feeling it.
They both pitched out of the pen last year. They both had equally inconsistently really good results, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think one of them is probably your emergency starter. I would probably say Velasquez, and I think Pivetta will probably be your long reliever. I'm hoping a guy like Spencer Howard is maybe even your 3 this year.
Spencer's going to miss the first week because of service time. I'd do it too. Yeah. I'd say him and Boehm don't make the roster for a week and then bring them in so they get that extra year. But I can see like Pivetta or Velasquez being the second starter during a game, because we know starters are only going to go 3-4 innings to kind of start the season. I can see that. I could also see him going 6-man rotation.
Yeah, and I fear that a little bit. But again, like I'm not gonna fear that.
If Zach Wheeler opts out, the decision could be made for him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fear that too if like more teams are doing it. Like if that's just how things are going because of the condensed.
It looks like
season.
It might be.
So I'm not gonna just be that guy. It's like no change, blah. Like if they're doing 6-man because it makes sense. I'm not gonna claim to know more than like the majority of baseball.
You look at like what the Mets are doing. I think they already said they're probably going to go 6-man, and they lost Thor, so Syndergaard's out. So you have DeGrom, who's probably the best pitcher in the National League overall, even better than Scherzer, even though Scherzer's probably more dominant. Then they have Stroman, great trade last year. Really great trade.
Every
I
time
think
I
that
hear
was a swing and a miss.
yeah, because the Phillies should have. It was
That was
like
a swing and a
it was
miss.
like, hey,
Yep.
you get a guy for not only this year but next year, and you're gonna
Yeah,
need
they
one
have
next
Steven.
year.
They have Steven Matz, and then they signed Michael Waka and Rick Porcello. That doesn't scare me at all. I take Pavetta and Velasquez over them both. I take Arrieta and Eflin over them both. So that doesn't scare me. The Mets' top of the rotation is good, but after two, it really drops off. I think at least the Phillies, if Arrieta's healthy, provides a decent number three, better than Steven Matz can be. And I would take Pavetta and Velasquez over Waka and Porcello. I don't know their farm system too well. I know they traded a lot away to get Robinson Cano. So I just don't know, but I would take our pitching staff over there. So I think that puts the Phillies ahead. The Nationals are the Nationals, but I think their bullpen stinks. And the Braves, they're going to rely on a lot of young pitchers. And I think Cole Hamels at the top of that, towards the top of that rotation, won't be as effective.
He's washed up.
Fine when the Phillies. I was fine when the Phillies didn't sign him because I'm not giving them $18 million.
I would have. Just because of my man crush still for me.
Yeah. I just but to
and to
Alec
have a lefty
Bohm,
like on the reel, like to have a lefty come in would have been like a veteran too, would have been nice.
for the pen or for the rotation?
For the rotation for Cole Hamels.
Yeah, I like that too. I wouldn't have minded Keuchel, even though he pitches the contact. I wouldn't have minded that so much. But like, the lefty righty thing is like becoming not a thing anymore. Like I think it's becoming less and less important as every year passes. It's still important, but I don't know if they give a crap. If the analytics say they should give a crap about rotation balance or not. So I don't know how I feel about that. But what about Bohm? I mean,
yeah,
like
I was gonna say
we just said Jay Bruce is probably going to DH against right-handed pitching, and again, there's just a ton of right-handed pitching in the league. So that means Bohm has to play a position. Reese is locked at first. You know, Kingery locked at second. Didi at short. That leaves him and Segura at third. Segura has the edge defensively and can still hit 300. I think that's your big position battle right now is what do you do with Alec Bohm on days that they're facing a righty?
Yeah, so I think like you said, he's gonna have some time at DH. He can have some time at first base too. You know, if you want to put if you want to put Reese, you know, if you just even want to give Reese, you know, a half day off and put him at DH.
Yeah, he needs the reps though. He's never really played first though. So like,
yeah,
he has a little bit. I mean,
yeah, and again, it's
60 games. You kind of need defense. Like every game's important.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I do think that, you know, especially with Segura's kind of built-in flexibility as well, you might be able to, you know, do some double switches. You might be able to get Bowman late in towards the game if you need some pop, you know, or early. You know, you start him and then defensively you can switch him out. But again, I think
you could play Segura at second and throw Kingery back at center.
Yeah, and I think that's where, especially having
I don't want it, but that could happen.
Especially having a guy like Joe Girardi, you can get creative with this team, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see how he does it, especially with, you know, maybe with a lot of unfun circumstances going on this year. But
all these players aren't staying healthy. Too, so
yeah, I mean, we're talking about
care.
Kingery. He's recovering currently from coronavirus, so it's like, you know, he's hoping to be ready for opening day, and it's like things like that. So, and again, and it's also in a real quick, a couple times we've talked about like players opting out and things like that. Look, like it's all well and good to just say, yeah, I'll go shut up and play, but this isn't the flu. We're still like arguing against science here, and like for some of these, you don't really know the long lasting effects. Like Rudy Gobert still doesn't have a sense of smell. Like, could you imagine not being able to smell your poops in the morning? No,
could you imagine?
No coffee. Like, I know it seems trivial, but like to lose a sense, and that's not just one person. Like that's been a common thread where people aren't getting like their sense of taste and smell back from this thing. It's like it may seem trivial, but like, you know, hopefully they do get it back sooner. But like, what if they don't? Yeah, it's like we still don't know the long lasting effects on this virus. So if a guy like Wheeler, like I want him, of course I want him to pitch, but like I'm not gonna judge him as a person or a player for
He could
you
come
know.
in. He could come in like the middle of August.
Yeah, any of these guys, just in general. I used him as like because we talked about it earlier, and it kind of got away from us. But you know, whilst just front of my mind. But yeah, as far as getting back towards this team, yeah, you're gonna have McCutcheon, and you can have Bruce. Like you can have like a couple people platooning out there. There's
I don't think Bruce sees the field if Kutch is healthy.
yeah. I guess it's probably true.
I don't want Bruce to see the field. He
Yeah.
stinks.
yeah.
Stinks.
Very true. So
He's
yeah,
worse than Reese.
Bruce will be your DH, and that's probably about it. But you know, it's gonna be like you'll have guys like Roman Quinn for a couple weeks here and there.
I'm out. Thank you for having me.
No, trust me, I'm with you. Like every time someone brings his name up, I'm like, that's why I even made sure to say for a couple weeks.
If there's 2 outs in the 9th, I'm pitch hitting for Quinn. That way he can make the out and then just start at second base in the 10th because he's the fast guy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. I'm just pinch hitting him in the 9th.
That's so, but there's gonna be some flexibility with this team, specifically the infield. Like you have, you know, 2 shortstops, really 2 gold, like not Gold Glove, but you know, Didi is high caliber shortstop. So is Segura. Now we're gonna see what he can do at third base. And yeah, as far as Kingery at second,
the bench too. Logan Forsythe, Josh Harrison can both can play multiple positions.
Yeah.
Neil Walker can play multiple positions. They have a very, very versatile bench too.
Yeah, so it's gonna be look, Bohm is gonna have to smash his way into the lineup, and I'm excited to see it.
Dude, for a rookie against Scherzer, Strasburg, Corbin, Tanaka, Garrett Cole, all the Rays pitching, Charlie Morton, Blake Snell. Toronto has Hyunjin Ryu now. Like, are you serious? What we're gonna face some of the most disgusting pitching in all of baseball. The Phillies are, and it's gonna be nasty. But at least you know Corbin's a lefty and Ryu's a lefty, and so like there's some lefties in there to get Bohm some quality ABs against good pitching. But do you really want a rookie, untested rookie against Max Scherzer in the 7th or Garrett Cole in the 8th? Like that's a tall task. And I think Bohm's our future, but I also, Segura could probably handle that at bat better.
Yeah,
this state.
Nick says Segura is the odd man out once Bohm or once Alec is up for good, and I mean I guess for good, do you mean that like in a couple of years? Yeah, or like a week into the season. But
they screwed themselves in the Segura trade. He's overpaid. He's got a lot of years left. They screwed them. Bad trade. Yeah. Bad trade. Bad man.
See, I still think like,
$17 million, bruh.
Yeah, I feel like now because you have Didi and like it almost feels like he's like he almost feels like the odd man. Well, they didn't need to sign Didi. They could have signed someone else, right? Like,
but Didi's the man. Didi's the most likable shortstop we've had since Jimmy.
Not here to argue that, which is why again, like, maybe you could have signed a different the man, and then
you want Michael Franco or Cesar Hernandez back.
I didn't want them last year. I didn't want them I didn't want them to start last year, and it felt like I had to fight a lot of Phillies fans all last year about how the Phillies needed to trade Cesar Hernandez. I mean, even Keith. It was like one of like the few disagreements we had where he was like, "No, you got to keep him because of his flexibility." I'm like, "You got to get rid of him because you're gonna get nothing for him."
You could have played Scott Kingery,
and you needed that just that anchor, and I think it would have helped Kingery too. And hopefully this year, if he can stay at one. I mean, even he said it's like just give me either the outfield, give me one glove. Let me bring one glove to the stadium even, and it's like. Just let him play either the outfield or the infield, and he feels better. So it's I'm a big Scott Kingery believer. I like his game. I'm excited to see him hopefully get a full season at second. But we don't know. Like we're talking Segura. Like Segura could go to second. Bohm could play third. You could have Kingery at center field. It'll be.
The Phillies have.
It could get interesting. I don't think it'll be too interesting. I think we kind of know how it'll play out, but it could get interesting.
The Phillies could put Bohm, like once Kutch is done in 2 years, they could, put him in left. They have Moniak coming up, potentially be center fielder. They have Moziotti, or I think Muziotti. I can't remember his name right now. Mazziotti or Muziotti, but like that's it. They don't have a stocked cupboard outside of Hazley, who it could be a decent fourth outfielder. So I'm kind of worried about the outfield situation in the future. But again, we're here talking about 2020. Like, I don't know. Do I really want to watch Hazley at center field when I know that means one of Bohm or Kingery or Segura is kind of riding the pine when you could just put Kingery out there, make him your center fielder, put Gene back at second, and go with Alec at third, just for the offense, man. I don't know. I think the team's catalyst is Scott Kingery. So, like for me, he's the guy who gets going. When he's on, the team's on. Yeah. He's like the Kevin Hayes of the team. So, the cupboard's kind of bare in the minors from outfielding perspective. Good for the infield. They got good infield prospects, decent pitching prospects, especially now with Mick Abel. But, man, it's just. Hey, what are we? July 8th? What are we? 2 weeks away? 2.5 weeks away? 2 weeks in a day? So, oh my God, two weeks in a day away from baseball.
Yeah, it felt like it was not, and it still might feel like it's never coming, but I mean, yeah, it'll be fun to see if and when we get going. But yeah, all four sports, just moving on, moving along. But yeah, and real quick, speaking of those other sports, want to just get some basketball talk in, some hoops, just to keep it a little fresh. But just kind of like as we move towards the return to play, like last week we talked about the Brian Elliott thing, and so it's like now I want to kind of try to focus a little bit more. Like we talked hockey last week. This week, I'd love to know the whole like the mess that is the Sixers this year, and it could end up really working for them because I think people are kind of building up this false sense of hope because while everyone is dealing with this, they're like, well, the Sixers had a lot of work to do, right? So maybe while everyone else stayed the same, the Sixers somehow got better because they were, they're not a 6 seed, although that's what their record says. And hey, you are what your record says you are. As far as this team goes, I'm wondering do you think they should go with a different starting lineup, or do you want to see the starting five from the beginning of the season?
Like Ben, Joel, Horford, Thibault, and Josh? Is that the starting five?
That's what I want.
No, Thibault and Josh were both small forwards, right? So they were I think they were in a rotation. Was it Furkan? Was the 2 guard?
So you're like
Tobias Harris.
Yeah, your beginning of the season you had Toby as your 3.
And 3, right? Who was our 2?
Richardson. Richardson can flex.
2?
Yeah, he could play 2 or 3. Ugh. So he's
not a great shooter though, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like so it depends on who you ask. I like Richardson's outside game. I think he's got a pretty good outside game. But yeah, the mid range is kind of where he lacks. But yeah, I mean, if we look, I can pull up his numbers. I think he's a pretty decent 3-point shooter.
So I'm thinking Mike Scott's the point guard. I'm thinking Kyle O'Quinn is our center.
That's to it.
I'm about to get exposed, bro. I know.
No, so,
basketball is my 5 out of 5. So
we gotta hit our Union minute too.
I'll get there. Baby.
I want to
get
that Union minute at the beginning of the show. In fact, but yeah, we're gonna get to the Union. We're gonna have more than a minute because hey, they start tomorrow. So
it's crazy.
But yeah, as far as personally, so we had at the beginning of the year it was Ben, Richardson, Toby, Horford, and Embiid.
Wow.
Now, that's who I want. I want that same roster, that lineup to end the games. Especially if you have the lead. More specifically, if you have the lead. But right now, starting the game, it's going to be interesting to see. I think what the Sixers are going to probably do is go Ben, Shake, Richardson, Harris, and then Embiid.
Shake and play the 2? I thought he was more of a point guard.
He is more of a point guard, but I think Now they could go if they want to get nutty, and if they want to potentially piss Ben off, you could go Shake, Richardson, Tobias, Ben at the 4, and Embiid. But
Even I know that won't happen.
Again, it happens at times, even during the regular season. Like defensively, that's where they'll play. But yeah, offensively, even during games, he'll switch off. He'll give Richardson the handle. He'll give. I mean, we even saw every now and then Toby bring the ball up. But
it's funny how when the coronavirus hit in March 11th, 12th, 13th, somewhere around there, and the Flyers were red hot. They lost to the Bruins 2-0, but like they were just off a 10-game winning streak, and the Sixers were kind of just like meddling around, and they started here during the beginning of the season, and the Flyers were kind of here. And as the seasons went along, they started to kind of, even from our fan base, even started to try and get there. And then like in late March, early April, if a poll went out there and said, which return are you more excited for? Phillies or Sixers? Flyers or Sixers? And it'd be Flyers 70%, just because that recency bias was on everybody's mind about how the Sixers were just kind of meddling around, kind of just playing every home game they could, winning all of those, and then just trying to be 500 on the road. And the Flyers were kind of hitting it all cylinders. That excitement is still there for the Flyers as they're ready to come back. The Sixers, I feel like the fans are just like, okay, this is a nice time to reset.
Yeah.
Realize what we had coming into the season on paper, and let's finally realize and see that to its full potential. So for me, I'm going back, and I know Brett Brown said he's evaluated everything and looked at everything and then harder and then looked at it a third time. Like, I don't try to reinvent the wheel. I go back to what I would have done at the very beginning of the season, roll with that lineup. This was a 4-month time off for everybody to try to regroup, get their you-know-what back together. Joel apparently in better shape. I'm rolling with the same lineup they rolled out there in game 1, and I'm going to move forward with it. I don't want to make tinkers or changes.
Yeah,
it's the lineup that Brett thought would have won them the East.
I can, again, I agree. That's what I want to close the game anyway, because defensively, I think that's where you're best. Personally, I want to see Thibault out there. I would like to see Thibault start, because in my opinion,
at the 3,
yeah, Richardson 2, Thibault 3. I think Tobias' best position is the 4. When we traded
Horford's riding the pine.
Look. Yes, but no, because he's still gonna get his minutes. Embiid is not playing 40 minutes a game. You still need to have Horford will be your first guy out there off the bench, and you probably have him and Shake. I would want to be my 2 guys, because then you're injecting defense, and hopefully if Shake can play like he did toward the end, some offense. And he definitely has ball handling.
And Mike Scott. You still have Furkan and Mike Scott too, and Furkan can shoot
in spurts.
Yeah,
I don't know that Furkan is going to see any quality time in the playoffs. Now, in these 8 games during restart, I want to see him get a ton of time, because if he's hot, you play Furkan. If he's not, he's got to be shooting at 35-40% from 3, because his defense is balls. So
that's a good way to put it.
His defense is terrible, so he's really got to be hitting it at a clip in the playoffs. So really, the way I look at it, and again, I'm not Brett Brown. We don't know what that means for good or bad, but anything I get from Furkan is sort of a bonus. And then Thibault is going to be he's in my I know he went through a lot of ups and downs this season, but defensively he's been a rock. So I can start him. That way I can get Tobias Harris some quality friggin' touches early and often. Because look, we all made people still want Ben to shoot the 3 for some reason. I'll never understand. There's many things Ben needs to do immediately to his game. The 3 is not one of them. But you know who can hit a 3? Friggin' Tobias Harris. Before he came here, he was shooting at 40%. Run pick and rolls with Ben for Tobias, and he's Tobias has got to hit around 20 average on the return of play. And if he's not, then this team's going nowhere fast.
as a casual Sixers fan, I am just the smallest Tobias Harris fan you can find. I just don't think I think he is the worst max contract. I think he's
I am a
in it,
Tobias Harris fan, and I still agree with that statement. Like, I do think, like, if you looked at all the max contracts in the league, he probably is towards the bottom of them. But I'm still a fan of his game, and I still to a good point agree with everything the Sixers did as far as Tobias Harris goes.
I want to put the disclaimer out there that my opinion means nothing. I I just don't know the X's and O's of the game like I know hockey and football and baseball, but and even soccer to an extent. So I'm just such a casual observer and fan that I root for them. I watch them. I look at ball go in net. I don't look at the off the ball stuff that happens. Like in soccer, I watch the field, not just the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And in hockey, I watch the rink, not just the puck. So in basketball, I'm like, where's the ball? Where's the ball? Where's the ball? I'm just a squirrel because I have no idea what I'm looking at outside of it. I played basketball in 7th grade. I made the 8th grade varsity team because they needed a bench guy. And they didn't want to waste another good 7th grader. So they got me. I played in Etnies skate shoes, and I have 2 career points. And I'm 0 for 2 from the foul.
That's more than my playing career. I've never really been a basketball guy.
The funniest part about that, Anthony, is my 2 points came on a 3-pointer, and for some reason they didn't count threes.
Oh, that's messed up.
I don't know why that would be, or maybe I'm getting that confused. My really little, I don't remember, but I know I have 2 career points.
I think the toe was on the line.
Could have been.
He said no 3-2.
Yeah. After I missed those free throws, I just stopped watching basketball. Really, after Robert Tractor Trailer left Michigan, I haven't watched basketball that much, and that was in the '90s. I was a Jazz kid growing up. Once Stockton and Malone. Oh my God!
Yeah, you were. That's right, Malone. That's right.
Stockton and Malone and Ostertag and Hornacek and Byron Russell. They were my guys, dude. And when they got beat by the Bulls back to back, like it's rough sailing for me. And after they left, I kind of just got out of basketball. It's okay. I didn't care about the Sixers in 01. Like, I don't care. I love the step over, but I'm such a casual observer that I will enjoy the hell out of it when it comes back. But you can bet your bottom dollar I'm watching any baseball game, I'm watching any playoff hockey game on the TV while the Sixers will be on the iPad.
Yeah. And then Nick says, "Wish we could have had Butler stay." Hey, I think a lot of us feel that way. And again, I think Butler. I think a lot of us think that the Sixers took Tobias over Butler, but I really think that it was Butler or Ben. And hey, I'm a huge Jimmy Butler fan, but I still gotta ride with Ben over that. And you know, hey, maybe that's a discussion that we should have one day. Is who should they have taken? That's an off season, or if quarantine round 2 comes out, that's when we bust that conversation out.
As a casual basketball fan, am I wrong? Because Ben Simmons is my favorite player on the team, and I think watching him play at times is magic. I think he can do magical things. Am I wrong in saying that he gets too much hate?
No,
I just don't know.
I think he is. I think he is
underappreciated.
The most like the hate for his game is. It's because I think the hate for his game is because of a generation like everyone of our age grew up watching Allen Iverson. All Allen Iverson did was give me the ball, let me shoot. Give me the ball, let me shoot. Give me the ball, let me shoot. So I think that a lot of people just don't see the fact that Ben can go from one end of the court to the other probably faster than anybody in the league. And defensively, that means everything. And even on the fast break, that means everything. And yeah, like you said, the things that this kid can do with the ball in his hands, you said it's magic. I don't know if you meant that like it's Magic Johnson or it's magic. Either way, you're right. Either way, you're right. So yeah, I don't want to come off as like a Ben defender, but I think that like for the think of how the diehard, like if Joe were here, think about like how he feels Drew is hated. I think that's how Ben Simmons is actually hated. Like,
yeah,
you know,
Drew, the Drew haters they're just numb.
Yeah, and again, I think they're the same people too. Like, I think the same people that hate Ben Simmons hate Drew and like, you know, hated Ryan Howard. It's like they pick hate Carson Wentz. It's like they pick the top guy, and if they don't win, it's their fault. And it's like
they're all Joe Giglio, is what you're saying.
yeah. Like, it's the low hanging fruit too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's the hot take. The hot takes get the responses, man. They get the responses on Twitter,
especially in 2020.
And that gets you followers, even the hate follows, and that's what matters.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
I'm like, I think about it. I'm like, I say stupid things all the time. How come I'm not more? But no, Ben.
Because I tweet about Pokemon at 32. That's why nobody follows me.
Ben shows his true potential when Joel isn't playing. I don't know about that either. I don't subscribe to the Ben and Joel can't play together theory.
I don't know if that's true either. And again, I'm casual, but I don't.
I will subscribe to. I'm not sure that Ben, Al, and Joel fit together because that's just too much. But not offensively, not for 4 quarters. But I tell you what, defensively, give me that all day. Hell, you could even take, if you really want to play lockdown, you could even take Thibault out and or you could take Harris out and put Thibault in. If you really like, if you're just like, we're gonna shut. What's the announcer's thing? Lock all windows and doors. That's when they're coming down the stretch. Hold on, I'm coming in for a landing. Yeah.
It's good. That's a good impression.
Not an impression, but that's what he says. It's like his little catchphrase. But yeah. I think that as long as Simmons is driving and not afraid to shoot free throws, this team will be just fine. And that to me, that's the thing that people should get on Ben. Like, drive the net. Aggressive Ben is good Ben. Like, drive to the net. That's what we need to see.
Every point scored in the paint.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that. That's his game. So yeah, and
I wouldn't mind a 12-footer every now and then.
And that's something that he's gonna have to work on. He's got to pick 3 spots on the floor. That's what I've been saying for at least 2 years now. Pick 3 spots on the floor. Make that, like, even T.J. McConnell. He had that one spot. When you think about T.J. McConnell. He had the one spot. If the free throw line is here, it's right here. It's at the top of the free throw line to the right. He had that one spot where he would pull up and take the shot and make it most of the time. Ben needs
one more. I'm signing off.
Ben needs at least 1 or 3. Like, he needs 3, but start with 1 and then work your way to 3 spots on the floor where you feel truly comfortable taking a shot. 2 from within side to the and then maybe 1 from that corner where he likes to shoot threes from in his Instagram videos. Like, he's always in the corner when he's shooting the threes.
Right Instagram. Off camera. Very bad camera job.
But yeah, in my opinion, the threes and all that. That's not gonna come over hiatus. But what can come and what we started to see toward the end is him starting to go to the rim a little bit more, and him, he's got to convert at more than a 60% from field, from free throws.
That's always been a low point of his
that.
game.
That to me, it's like, why do people not bitch at that? Because that is
the whole team needs to be a better free throw.
That's what like immediately Ben's got to fix.
The team does. I thought they were
you're
very
absolutely
poor free throws.
I mean, even in college, the best teams take advantage of free throws.
Wichita State didn't make it to the Final Four by not going 90%, baby.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that a thing? I think that's a thing. I think they made the Final Four.
Sounds good.
They knocked out LaSalle in the Sweet 16.
Don't let facts get in the way of a good story.
I'll tell you, listen, I went to journalism school too, buddy.
Yeah. Anything else tonight, Greg? Did we miss anything?
Eagles. I know there was some stuff in Eagles land.
Yeah. As far as like the Eagles thing goes, look, like with the whole, like, nothing happened as far as sports go, and with the whole Deshaun Jackson thing,
we're not here to talk about that type of stuff.
Yeah, just you don't build your platform, your cause, by putting another one down, and there's just no room for that in society. So yeah, it's just, I mean, it's short and simple. Yeah, it's
I'll just say to spread his message, there was a million ways to do it, and he chose the worst one.
yeah, exactly.
And you got to be more educated.
Like, look, we're you can't preach equality by putting down, like a different, like you don't end racism by bigotry or by anti-Semitism. So
I will say his apology was kind of weak, though. That's all. That's the only thing I'll say.
Which one, Greg? Because there was like 3 of them.
The one where he wasn't sorry and then just said he didn't mean it the way it sounded. I'm like, so you were just kind of trying to be racist, but not like that bad. Yeah. I don't know. Without getting into the whole thing,
his second one, the written one, sounded much better than
the video one. Was not a great look.
Yeah, and again, not like, as far as like, does he deserve, like,
from a football perspective, do we keep him? That's the thing? Look, and if we're gonna give Riley Cooper a contract extension, yes, we're gonna keep Deshaun Jackson.
I didn't want to keep Riley Cooper.
No, me neither.
And as far as like this whole Deshaun Jackson thing goes, he should at least get suspended.
Yep, 1 game, 2 games, nothing crazy.
I've heard a lot of people of Jewish faith say, let him learn. And I had somebody at work today who walked by my computer and overheard it, and we had a conversation, and he was like, look, there's a lot of falsehoods going out, and it's just one more thing, and it's he's probably just a little caught up, and again, there's a lot of good and bad views on this take. My best thing is whatever the Eagles do, I'll see to it, and we'll go from there.
All seriousness aside, before they cancel it, they should suspend them for the preseason, and then they're just going to cancel the other 2 games. All seriousness aside.
Yeah, how about that? We'll suspend him. He's suspended for training camp. If they do suspend him, then hey, it's you keep him for an extra week because he's going to go in the DL at some point this season anyway. So. Yeah. It is what it is. The written one was written for
nothing
him.
Changed in hockey. Yeah. The Union come back tomorrow.
Yeah, let's talk Union because I look at maybe me talking soccer is even more awkward than you talking basketball, but I'm excited because I know people are excited, and I don't want to. I no longer. I know the me of old was trying to suck the joy of soccer fans, but I no longer do that, and the proof is right here. I'm wearing an esports jersey, so I can no longer make fun of soccer because soccer.
But it's also in the shape of a soccer jersey. Like that is a soccer jersey.
And you know what? A lot of people will be like, "Oh, what soccer team is that?" And it never dawned on me how much esports jerseys look like soccer jerseys until everyone told me that. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess that shows how little." But it makes sense too because esports much more global than it is here. Like
you look like the Disney Porsches.
I'm down.
Like, that's what you look like right now. like a lot of sponsors over your nipples right now. Like, that's but. Like with Union Soccer being back, I honestly think, and I think at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday is wonderful. I'm so looking forward to tomorrow morning. Like I cannot wait to watch this soccer game.
I might try to like tune in just because it's live sports and it's in America.
If you watched 2 players on this team, just 2, I truly think it would convert you. And my Union Minute is going to be dedicated to those 2 players. That's Kasper Shabilko and Brendan Aronson, my 2 favorite players on the team. Now, the problem with soccer is the transfer windows and the call-ups to the national team and stuff like that. Players are not on teams long-term unless it's a superstar player that is kind of at the last leg and they're kind of playing that out. Or you're Sebastian Letou and come back 7 times and play in the Union forever. But, like, it's very rare when a soccer player stays in the MLS and one team for a long time. Brendan Aronson's 19 years old. He's a homegrown kid. He's from Medford, New Jersey. He is legitimately on the cusp of being the best player in the team's history, and he's 19 years old. He's that good of a player. He'll probably come off the bench, I'd imagine. I don't know. He's in the midfield. He might be in the starting 11, but I'd probably bring him in at the 60-minute mark. 19-year-old kid, got fresh legs for days. What a wonderful player. The things he does with the ball, it'll blow your mind. And his kind of, especially for a midfielder, his a way to attack and kind of score timely goals. I think you'd be impressed if you watched a Brendan Aronson highlight reel, if you will. And again, only 19 years old, and he has a highlight reel. That's kind of cool enough as it is. And second, Kasper Shabilko has scored more big goals for this club over the last 3 years, 5 years than anybody. He is an undeniably good goal scorer. Like, you want to talk about Bobby Ryan? That's Kasper Shabilko for me.
Bobby Ryan, the guy's incredible.
Like the guy's incredible. Like you know my love for Bobby Ryan and my need for a goal scoring winger. Well, guess what? The Union have a goal scoring forward in Kasper Shabilko. He is not the perfect player. He's not the complete package, but every single time the ball leaves his foot, there's a chance it goes into the net. And for the casual soccer fan, they're looking for goals. They're not looking for the off the ball stuff, the creative stuff that happens in soccer games, or the possession game, or like the strategy that goes into getting injured. And kind of, I get it. The flop thing is definitely a thing, especially in a blue collar city like Philadelphia. But there's so much that goes on. So if you are the casual fan and you want to watch goals, Kasper Shabilko is your guy. And the MLS We're Back tournament, the Union are going to play 3 games in that. The first one tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. against New York City FC, a damn good team. Oh, by the way, the Union have still have Alejandro Bedoya from the United States men's national team, and also Andre Blake, one of the best goalies they've ever had, if not the best goalie they've ever had. So they are a good team. They made the playoffs last year. They've still yet to advance. But in this tournament, 3 games, Thursday the 9th at 9 o'clock against New York FC, Tuesday the 14th against Nashville SC, an expansion club, and Sunday the 19th against Inter Miami. That one's at 10:30 p.m. That's rough, especially when the games are being played in Florida. So that's East time. But the positive there is that soccer games are 2 hours max.
Yeah.
And they're a very easily watched game.
You know, I heard that there was a small chance, and it seems like that chance is getting even smaller. But since they're in Orlando, I heard that they were talking about potentially letting like NBA players go to these games as something to do. You know, obviously they'd be spread out and everything. Now, I think with
as long as they don't bring vuvuzelas.
I was gonna say, I think with all of like everything going on and all the ticks going on, it's very unlikely. But how cool would it be, like, to see some of the Sixers guys out there at a Union game? Just like it look, because it's something I even saw. It was addressed in chat. I think it was from Nick, but it was like, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be even more weird with playoffs, but like sports, in an empty stadium, it's going to be a little weird. I think it's weird.
I don't think so.
I think your audio engineers are going to step up and make it feel as
I think the indoor sports are going to be weird. Hockey and basketball.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think the outdoor sports,
because they're going to be playoffs too, and by the time
you're going to hear line changes. You're going to hear players screaming and stuff. You're going to hear every single squeak of a shoe on the basketball court.
Yeah, I want to hear Joel Embiid talking shit. Like, I want to hear it all. Like, that's gonna be
weird. Outdoor sports, I honestly don't think it's gonna be that much of an adjustment.
You need to tighten
because we get announcers anyway. Announcers go over the crowd noise so much.
Yeah, tighten up camera angles. And there's certain things that you can do to kind of
mic the players.
Yes. Hey, look, that was one of the good things Deshaun Jackson said. It was weeks ago, but. He was one of the few, one of the players that were saying, like, mic us up. Let's, like, we don't need to pump in crowd noise. Just mic play. Like, I think music and audio from the field. I think that's how you hide it. I think you could pump in a little bit of music or something, even if it's in the arena. It doesn't have to be through, like, I don't necessarily want That 70s Show laugh track, like being like, yay. Like, I don't know. I don't need that, but I've heard a lot of people say they do want that, which is surprising to me. But again, they go into that casual fan. Like, I think the diehards were like, let's hear. But like, so when I was getting my hair cut, the woman that does my hair, she was like, oh, I think it'd be weird. Like, they need to do, they need to put some like some noise in it. They should like pump in cheering, and I was like, that's the most casual of casual, and that's where,
No
you know,
disrespect, but anybody that cares more about the fans in the stands than the game being played,
yeah. Again,
sorry you feel that way.
I don't, and not necessarily that they cared about the fans, but like just the experience that I guess the fans add to the viewing pleasure.
But the experience is going to be different. Can't we just enjoy this for what it is while it's here?
Yes, if you're asking me, yes.
We're never gonna forget this season.
Yeah.
Ever.
I'm all in. It's like we were saying though. It goes back to that casual, and it'll be interesting. Look, no matter what, you could have fart noises pumped in.
I was literally just about to say the first time you hear an umpire fart and the catcher start laughing his ass off, that's gonna be memorable, man. I'm so ready.
We're gonna watch. We're gonna tune in as soon as this like sports are gonna be the highest. They always are the highest rated thing, and it's gonna be that in tenfold with knowing being, you know, for the most part, stay at home, but like we're all basically staying at home right now. We're trying to do it as much as we can.
Some of us.
Yeah, maybe not all of us. We all should be staying. But yeah, it's catcher or umps with cameras on.
Oh, that'd be sick, like an ump cam.
We've seen that in
it's
like all-star games and stuff. Yeah, I think
you got to get used to that perspective.
I think it's better for replays. Don't.
Oh
give
yeah,
me,
never live.
Yeah,
traditional for live. I'm fine with that.
So, but yeah, look, we have a lot of really creative minds in the production side, and technology has really allowed these guys to go nuts. Like I said, give the audio engineer his due this year. Let these guys go nuts. Let them put the mics where they think they could put let's see them get creative. I think it will be just fine. At the end of the day, it's the content that's on the field that matters most, like you were just saying. So yeah,
I think it'll be weird for players for the first week maybe, and then they'll get over it.
Yeah, a lot of it's funny. As soon as you say that in chat, a lot of players have said it'll be weird playing without crowds. But yeah,
they'll get over it really quickly.
Again, it's look, Nick, you go to work. Your job's probably a little different right now. Greg, you're working from home, which is different, right? Like my job is a little different right now. Like everything is a little different right now. So hey, guess what? It's gonna be a little different for those guys too. And yeah, at the end of the day, we all could use that if they're going to be able to get this thing done in a safe manner. We all need that escape, and you know, I think it'll be fun to say.
I'll say this: I've been watching the Korean baseball games without fans, and I still remember watching that Baltimore White Sox game a couple years ago when those riots were happening in Baltimore, and they had to play a game without fans in the stands, 2 or 3 years ago. I watched that, and it was fun. Adam Jones was making me crack up in center for the Orioles. I still
Adam
remember
Jones
watching.
Is in the KBO right now,
or Japan. He's somewhere in Asia.
Okay. Yeah, I follow him on Instagram, and I guess I just see those letters.
That's 3. I'm out. I think it's time to wrap. 2 hours.
I just see funny looking food, and I'm like, he's got to be. I only assumed that the Korean baseball was going on. I forgot that like other major sports leagues were around
because they know how to contain their virus. Anyway,
yeah. We like to have fun here.
Yeah, I think my mom's calling me. I think I got it.
No, but we are at it's funny, we're about at the same time we were last week, about an hour 40.
Yeah, your 1 hour show has now gone 2 hours when I'm on.
Hey,
go figure.
Trust me, Keith and I do it plenty. So we've been cutting it a lot shorter as of late because he's been having a lot of back problems too. So like he'll start giving me
he's carrying the show.
True. Yeah. But yeah, he's recovering from back surgery because he's been carrying the show and the country. He's out there being.
That's also very true. Thank you for your service.
Being the mailman's. So our motto has been I pack it, he ships it, or I ship it, he delivers it. It's been kind of.
Like I sell it. I sell it. You ship and he packs 'em.
Yeah,
It's Mrs. Doubtfire. You pack them and you ship them.
Yeah.
What happens after you pack them? You ship them. Smart ass.
Yeah, stuffed animals in the stands. That was awesome. When I saw Pikachu behind home plate, that's like, psh, let's do that here.
I love it. I know that there's the teams that are doing the cardboard cutouts for season ticket holders. Like, that's genius idea.
That's creepy,
I know the
though.
players,
I don't want to see like
the players. Yeah,
make
but
them
the funny
like
faces and shit.
make them like
so
cartoons or something. You know,
caricatures. That'd be cool.
Yeah, like do you like South Park style or something?
We know that the players are probably going to be sitting in the stands too. So that's another thing. Like, can you imagine just watching, like Andrew Knapp and like some random reliever just sitting leg up over the seats, just like sitting back with like their shades on, their hats on, inside out and back. That's just a fun thing for the camera crew to cut back and forth to see. Like, anytime you have a fan that's sleeping, they always cut to them for 53 cuts, and like they play they're gonna have opportunities to do that with the players. I'm sure they're gonna go up to the players before the game and say, "Hey, in the 6th inning, we're gonna go to you. Do this." Like, there's going to be things that these TV crews and things, they're going to work out with the network, and it's not going to be boring. I can promise you that it's not going to be boring. You're going to have fun, albeit a very uneasy fun, watching sports again.
Yeah, look, it's these guys are professional. They're the highest level athletes. Like, yeah, it's going to be good. It might be a little weird at first, but it's still the highest level of competition. And like that's what brings us to the two sports in general, like all of them. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. I can't wait. I think considering I kind of do a sports podcast, so having some sports will be nice. It'll be a little nice.
Go Union.
But yeah, any other final thoughts or anything tonight, Greg?
I'll say it again. This is gonna sound desperate, but if you could, just consider listening to my show.
Oh, yeah.
We podcast and we know things. It's a weekly podcast we're doing for 4 years. We're on episode 194 plus like 40 interviews. So we're around 250, 230, I should say, episodes of content for you to enjoy. We do gaming, lots of that. Movies, TV, comics, music, tons of it. We interviewed a lot of your favorite bands, I'm sure. Authors, directors, writers, game developers. We have them all on the show. Big, small. We had Sum 41 on the show. If you like them, go listen to that. But we do a lot of fun
does
stuff.
All the small things, right?
I think they did Q without the E. But we've done a ton of cool stuff, and we're still rocking and rolling. We got a good show lined up for tomorrow. So we release every Friday morning on iTunes, CastBox, Stitcher, wherever you get your Audible goodness. And I just appreciate if you could go listen to us. Let me know what you think at Greg Talks a Lot, at We Podcast and We Know Things on Instagram, all one word, or find us on Facebook, We Podcast and We Know Things with an ampersand, and give us a follow. We'd appreciate it a lot. And I truly hope you listen, because if you think I talk a lot tonight, you ain't heard nothing yet.
Yeah, you and Sam both do just an awesome job, and it's a treat to listen to you guys every week. I appreciate that.
I always look forward to your texts.
I highly recommend it. Yeah, like I said, I lump your shows together. I try to listen at least 2 at a time. Sum 41 was my first concert, and that's from I believe that's Kev the Snucka in chat.
So you now you have to go download the pod and scroll back until you find bonus episode Frank Zumo Sum 41.
Always that's the one band out of that whole genre. Always was at the top of my list. Never got to see them live, which is crazy because I've seen so many concerts, and it's weird because 2020 will be the first year since 2003 I don't attend a live concert. So yeah, it's weird. 7th grade with the starting line, so yeah. But you talk about NFG. Green Day, Blink, like I saw all of those guys, but Sum 41.
I saw Newfound Glory open for Blink in 2002.
I saw them open for Green Day probably in like 2004 or 5 at the Liacouras Center. That was really dope. That was a really dope show. Yeah.
Mine was at Tweeter. I saw them at the Tweeter. I think was that First Union? No, Scotiabank now maybe in Camden.
Susquehanna Bank.
Susquehanna Bank, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I only just worked there last year, and I already forget.
Blink had the F word and fire behind them
Yeah.
as they were playing.
They did that again too when they came back. You know what they did that? Oh God, I forgot that I saw them with Skiba.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Oh God, you know.
What'd you think? What'd you think of 9?
I never listened to a single song
off the new Blink record.
I couldn't do it. I gave up after.
Respect.
After the whatever the one before 9 was called, I can't even remember. I listened to
California.
That, yeah, I listened to that start to finish, and I was like that.
It was wretched.
It felt like a bastardized version of my favorite band ever.
It was wretched.
And then I learned that they didn't write the lyrics, and I just, oh God. It was hard pill to swallow. But yeah, I'm not trying to say this to sound like braggy or anything. I don't think, if I heard a song off of 9, I thought it was from California or whatever. Like, that's how. But yeah, I just.
NFG just released their 10th studio album.
They're still killing it. They're still killing it.
They kill it. That record kills.
I heard your take on it, and I was like, I totally agree.
Forever and Ever Times Infinity. What a great name, first and foremost. But it just shreds pop punk goodness, man. It's so good.
They like brought that like kind of like hardcore sound into their like brand.
Well, their guitar player was in a hardcore band before and does a side project that's pretty.
Yeah, they like always kind of kept that flair with them.
Once they ditched one of their guitar players, Steve, and they let Chad kind of take the reins. And he used to be engaged or married to Haley from Paramore. They've since divorced, and I think that divorce and that kind of pain and things like that have really come out in the music. He writes the lyrics, so I think they've gotten even better since that happened. I hate to use a real life bad thing to inspire the music or whatever, but that's how a lot of the best things in this world are written. So
hey, harness the pain. That's Kev knows. I tell his guitarists to do that all the time. Harness the pain.
It's nuts, man. So NFG's still rocking it, but I'm glad we got off sports for a minute.
It's good final thoughts for tonight. Guys, thank you all for tuning in, both live and on demand. Make sure you give at We Podcast and We Know Things a follow and a listen. Greg talks a lot on Twitch.
Twitter.
Again, you know why I'm an old man with that. They both begin with T. So, I call. I stream on Twitter and I tweet on Twitch. Why? I don't know. But no, thank you guys for everything. Greg, thank you again for filling in this last couple of weeks for Keith while he's been recovering from back surgery, as you alluded to from carrying the show while there was no sports. But yeah.
I kid. You're one of my oldest friends.
We've
been friends for 25 years.
If you stop making fun of me, something is wrong, and vice versa. So
that's how I'd appreciate it.
So
nobody does board slides. Nobody does board slides better than you.
Or hits their nuts
on rails that it shouldn't be possible.
Nope. I have created new angles to nut myself, and that didn't sound right. Anyway.
I think we're at our stop.
But yeah, thank you guys all for tuning in. With that, I am Anthony Pinto.
I'm Greg Hall.
And thank you guys all for tuning in. We are out of here.